Hi, welcome to Let's Talk Tamil Movie Podcast. I'm Ramya,
I'm Aswin.
and today we're going to talk about Shankar and Vikram's Anniyan.
The movie is a psychological thriller and it follows one person and how he gets multiple personalities and what he does.
Yeah, so definitely when it came out, it was 2005, so
Yeah.
that's 15 years now, and there are parts of the movie that you can appreciate. A Tamil film talking about a psychological disorder,
Yeah.
but there's so many concepts they put into the film that made you think or believe this is some extreme version of multiple personality disorder, right? So like some things weren't realistic for sure, and it was just I'm kind of glad you did this, but I'm also kind of like, why did you have to do this? I feel like it was just a film about how good of an actor Vikram is. So a huge blockbuster in 2005.
So the story follows how Vikram sees how people are doing mistakes and they're not owning up to it.
Social issues within the public. It's more of social responsibility. So like
Yeah.
as a person in a society, you have certain things you should be doing, and it was all neglected within this community that was shown in the movie. So it's basically like him trying to be a good citizen and him not able to meet his own standards, and he has standards for everybody and they're not meeting it either. And it's not like it's standards, it's these rules, and nobody really cares just because of selfishness.
Yeah. So that, and then he has problems with his love life as well. That
All right.
awakens different sides to him. So
Right.
I think this is so that everyone has like an angry side to them and then a romantic side and whatever. But because of the situation he's in, those sides become like so extreme. They become an individual person in a way as well. So his romantic side becomes Romo, and then his angry, crazy side becomes Anniyan, and then
It's very
he's yeah,
exaggerated.
yeah,
I guess another thing we could talk about the basic storyline of the movie or just the movie itself is the effort that Shankar put in, especially with all the punishments that were done and all the for a movie that came out in 2005, that website was incredible.
yeah. And how
Um
Anniyan's really good at graphics and you know when so when the police do search his house, they do see like, a book with website creation or whatever, and
yeah, yeah. At least they thought that through. Every time like someone puts in a something that happened, the questions like differentiate.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like once when Vikram does it for the first time, it was like who, what, when, or whatever. And when Vivek did it, it was questions that were just specifically for that situation.
yeah. And then I was thinking how Remo changes his appearance to become Remo. Like, does he go to a salon? And then you see he has products and stuff in his house.
But
Hidden.
his hair goes from like black to brown
That's
highlights
the
within like
only
seconds.
yes. You know when the one part when he goes to that hotel or whatever with the girl, and then he randomly changes to onion, and then his hair changes to black, I
Yeah,
think, and
yeah,
then it stays
yeah,
black. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Switch between like Anniyan and Remo, but yeah, I don't know why the hair color didn't change.
Because I first thought, like before, before they showed us how he has those hair products in his house, I thought the reason he had brown hair was just because Shankar wanted to like emphasize this is a different personality, so
Right.
the audience would just know this is someone else.
Definitely a lot of effort on Shankar's end.
Yeah.
He helped so much, and then Vikram's acting on top of that helped a lot, apparently. So with all the CGI they used for the website, they also there's a buffalo chase in the movie, right? And
Yeah.
that scene, apparently they only used one buffalo. The rest of the buffaloes were all CGI. When I watched the movie, they made sure that it was a dark scene, so you can't really pay attention to each buffalo by itself.
Yeah.
But it seemed a bit realistic. Like too good for 2005. They also used CGI for the stadium scene. So
Yeah.
when all the people there were actually fake. I don't know if I agree with that because when you watch this, like the scene itself, and there's like people in the background, you can't see their faces. That could have been CGI, and the way that that scene was shot, like they kept jumping back and forth between Vivek and the camera guys
Yeah.
and everyone that you couldn't realize they were fake.
Yeah. I mean, it did win a national film award for special effects.
Oh, okay. Oh, and the methods of punishment is actual that book that they mentioned.
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Garuda Puranam.
Yeah, that's an actual real thing. Shankar actually had to do research about it and stuff.
Yeah.
So he put some effort into this for sure. Alright, so the cast is basically made up of four characters, in my opinion. So it was Vikram playing Ambi, Sada playing
Nandini.
Nandini, yeah, and Vivek as Chari, and Prakash Raj as Prabhakar. I felt that because of the acting and everything that Vikram had to do, it was so big that the other characters, like, you couldn't really pay attention to how important they were.
There's always lots of people around as well. Like, when he's in traffic, that's all those people. When they when they're on the train, there's a bunch of people as well. But
Yeah,
we still somehow focus on him. That even if there's
yeah,
lots of things happening around him, they somehow still make the people focus on
out of focus,
whatever he's doing.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He played all three characters so well that they seemed all different types of people. Like, there was no similarity between all three of
Yeah.
them, but that could have also been something that the script did. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next person we're going to talk about is Sada. He is the first one to find out about his disorder. In my
Yeah.
opinion, she wasn't important until then.
Yeah, and I did find her kind of annoying whenever she came up because she didn't have much to do before, and she
Right.
was just there to,
Just be
yeah,
there.
and to show how, in a way, I think why Vimo comes to be because of how she doesn't like
Right.
Ambi and stuff. Yeah,
At first, yeah, it was definitely not really playing a role. So I just felt that her finding out it also was something that was important to the movie. If that makes sense.
oh yeah, and the way she finds out how she runs
Yeah, like
away from him, and then the crazy fights.
so that's something I want to talk about. Okay,
Yeah,
that scene, especially that scene, it was so big and it was so long. And the entire movie didn't have major fight sequences or anything
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
There was max of like 2 fights. And I feel like because the movie came out at the time it did, and a lot of movies at that time had like a lot of fight sequences, I felt that Shankar was just like, okay, let's put this fight scene in and let's make it to the extreme as possible
yeah,
so that we don't have to do it ever again. Like it went from Vikram beating Vikram up
yeah.
to fire sequences to like karate, and it was a lot, but it was good. But it was just her like screaming the entire time. You can't like look away because it's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good scene for her and him.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about
Vivek.
Vivek, who was my favorite character in the
Yeah.
movie. Oh, actually, I like Prakash Raj too, but
Yeah.
yeah. So Vivek played Chari. He was Ambi's best friend, but he also worked for Prakash Raj, who was a DCP, a cop, basically. I thought as a character, he had a lot of character development. So he went through having to support his friend and having to be like ethical to his career,
Yeah.
right? Like even in the last scene, like if he didn't do that, like it wouldn't have helped Vikram in the end.
Mm.
And what else? And the fact that he was the one that gave the biggest hints away for everything. Like he's the one who took Prakash Raj to Vikram the first time. He's the
Yeah.
one who found the website.
Oh, and then the long hair as well. But he says
Yeah,
it in
he
a
found the hair.
coming. Yeah, yeah. The way he
Like, do
says
you
it.
see? Like, he literally gave everything away, and then at the end, he's kind of like, "Oh no, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
And he had like these one-liner jokes, and they were so good.
I found it funny whenever Anniyan would write down something and go, and then he would try pronouncing it like mixing up and stuff, and then Prakash Raj
That's
would
because
stop him.
Prakash Raj did it the first time, so then he was like, "Whoa, is this what we're doing now?" And then he kind of like followed his footsteps, but it was just never right for him. He could have played a bigger role, in my opinion, but the role he did play was good. And I low-key wanted him to be the one that found out about like Vikram first,
Yeah.
but then he probably wouldn't have told anybody about it either.
So he got a Tamil Nadu State Film Award for Best Comedian.
Someone who only got like so little, he did a lot.
Mm.
For Prakash Raj, he, typical villain.
He wasn't the
The villain.
villain. He wasn't the main. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say.
anything
He did get Tamil Nadu State Award for Best Villain.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
He wasn't a villain until the last scene. Like the
yeah,
way he did things, it wasn't the entire movie. You were like, oh yeah, he's a bad guy. There wasn't a bad guy until literally the end of that. So this was Shankar's seventh Tamil film, and you can see the similarities with Anniyan, Indian, and Mudavan. I thought the only similarity was that like Indian and Mudavan, they all were like very social
yeah,
issues,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
so did Shivaji, right? So
Yeah,
there was
that's
like
true. Yeah.
everything had like basically the same storyline, but it was just different aspects of them.
Yeah, it's just how everything's corrupt and
Yeah, exactly.
things need to be changed. So I feel like people would watch it and then as they're coming out, they'll be like, yeah, I should be doing this. I be doing this. Once they get home, they just don't care anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like one of the examples was riding a bike, and then
Yeah,
like after the stadium thing, everybody was following everything that Onion
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, yeah, I get it, but that I have zero idea if anybody followed it.
Yeah. So one big thing I liked about the movie is the music by Harsh Jayaraj. He's only done two with Shankar so far, and the one is this one, and then the other one is Nandan, but Nandan was more of a remake. You know how he changes for how Vikram changes from Ambi to
Right.
Anniyan to Remo. Like the background music he uses for each character changes.
Mm-hmm. That and the mere fact that they did put hair in front of the camera.
Yeah, that
But
too.
yeah. No, I think Hairshare did a really good job with the music. Um, yeah, I think all the songs did good. Obviously, Ramo did amazing. And yeah, I'm not too sure I have anything to say about the music. We can talk about the music videos.
Yeah,
Obviously, Shankar, so over the top,
yeah,
everything. And Kumari, like, they went to Netherlands for a Tulip Garden music video shoot.
yeah.
I know for the Kanyum Nokia, it was shot in Malaysia.
Okay.
And then Andangaka, they actually got houses and made it like a mini village. But
Oh,
it
wow.
wasn't where Shankar's most extreme was, but it was definitely slowly getting there.
Yeah. Harris did win it for Best Music Director in Filmfare and Tamil Nadu State. And he did win it partly for Gajini as well. So the music for that was good too. So it makes sense.
Right, so a favorite scene, definitely the one with Prakash Raj and Vikram, almost at the very ending.
Yeah.
I can't really talk about the scene because it gives everything away. But
Yeah.
only thing, like you said before, like the switch between Vikram and his characters were the main part of that scene. But I felt like throughout the movie, you didn't see him change it in between real quick. This
Yeah.
one was like he just kept doing it, doing it, doing it. So I thought that was a great scene. It's able to show that Vikram's versatility, and then I also thought that Prakash Raj did a really good job of being this like macho tough guy cop, and then having to deal with a person in front of him who's doing all this, right?
The scenes that I liked weren't really got to do with the actual story, but it's more to do with Vivek and how he's trying to convince Vikram to tell the girl that he likes her. But he keeps messing up, and then Vivek keeps getting angry in the train. I don't know if you
Not
remember.
only in the train, but like everywhere in Thailand.
Yeah, that happens to everyone too. Yeah, yeah. But it starts off just before they decide to go to that program.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked that part of the movie. It wasn't serious. It was more just comedy and
Right.
stuff.
So moments you were like, what is happening?
Okay, one thing I did wanted to say that I liked was Avemo was trying to protect the girl from Anniyan. So this part has got to do with what's happening at the moment as well. So he's pushing down on someone.
Right.
So yeah, but so Anniyan is pushing down on someone, and that's meant to be Romo. But how do they like? Can they see each other or something? Because when they're fighting each other, how how does that even work? Because
Exactly. You know when he goes to to the therapist, he
yeah,
said, "Oh, I black out." So if you black out, how are you seeing Onion fight Remo? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then when he locks the washroom door, and he's like, "Oh, Arnie's here to attack you," and I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What's happening here?" Oh yeah, so that was a scene. I was like, "Wait, what is happening?" Every time there was a change between Onion and Remo, Vikram went flying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he'll be like in one side of the room and he'll act like
Yeah, I think
and
they
he's fall in
kind
the
of,
other.
yeah, they could have thought of like the explanation behind this a bit better. Yeah, yeah. Like I know that I get it that they think of each other as different people, but like physically, how is that working? Because
Yeah,
he's
so like
yeah,
we understand that like the real disorder like probably makes sense,
yeah,
but this was just like they kept doing it in such an extreme way. It was like you're contradicting what you're saying at this point.
yeah,
Another thing, oh, obviously the hair falling in front of the camera was always a moment of I don't know if that was necessary. We didn't really need to see his perspective.
it's more
I guess
to
it had,
just make it dramatic. Is what
yeah.
that's
But I
literally
thought like I also thought that in the very beginning they didn't want to show that Onion was Vikram, and they might have done that. It was always a moment of why are you guys doing this?
yeah.
Oh, another scene was when Ambi gets beat up, and
Oh
then
yeah,
Onion takes revenge, and he's flying like he'd be like up on the building and he
yeah.
like jump down. I'm like, oh,
Like some
so
kind of
Onion has
ninja.
yeah. So Onion has superpowers, but like Ambi can't do anything.
And the other thing is, Ambi, I doubt he goes to the gym or whatever, or like he does any kind of fighting.
Right.
But then how does he suddenly know how to, like the coding and stuff makes sense. Okay, he learned it from a book. And for Momo, he used products to change how he looks. But
Right.
how is he able to fight? So they do justify how he has money, how Vemo has money. He
Yeah.
used the house for. So I guess Vemo kind of has some kind of explanation, but Onion just
No, no idea.
yeah,
And the thing was that like the scene that they did with Sada, where he was like, getting punched around and flying across the room. None of that was shown with the scene that he did with Prakash Raj. Like the last scene, it
yeah,
was extreme. Like, yeah, it
yeah.
was extreme for sure, but it wasn't that extreme.
Hey,
Yeah, so
don't
I
you want
felt
to
like
talk
the
about the how Sada used a small container
yep.
of
So Umbi had, I'm sorry, not Umbi. Remo
Vemo?
has highlights in his hair, and he has highlights all the time. And he goes to this event, and she's like, "Oh, I want you to be like I like Umbi or something." And she takes a bottle of mascara and covers his entire dyed hair into fully black. And that was a moment of you guys could have at least had hair dye or something. So does that mean that Remo had washable hair dye in his hair, or how do
And
you?
I think he had contacts as well. She just pulled it out.
Yeah,
So
she pulled it out,
yeah, so
and
she
I was
must
like,
have
ah.
known that. Yeah,
Okay, so any last minute conclusions?
I really liked Vikram's acting. It was a main part of the movie. What about you?
So in conclusion, this film was done well in all aspects of a movie. So like the cast, the music, Vikram's acting, everything was so like intertwined in the movie itself. And I felt like Vikram's acting was the biggest part of this movie. It was so important and so vital to this movie. And if you ever want to see a good Vikram movie, definitely watch this one.
Yeah. So next week we're going to talk about Karthik Subbaraj's Chigatanda, which has Vijay Sethupathi, Karuna Karan, and Bobby Simha, and the music is by Santosh Narayanan. We're going to talk about what we liked about the movie, what we didn't like, and what we quite didn't understand. Tweet us, and new episode every Monday.